Good afternoon, dear beloveds. This is White Wolf. I'm going to start off by enacting protocols. Hope on the wire, fire dragon, earth wire dragon, quiet, pink dragon, golden orange dragon, Ezekiel, my two black dragons, the black dragon from Saturn, and the alpha dragon, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Sandalphon, Raphael, Mother Mary, Saint Germain, the Intergalactic Council, the Galactic Federation of Light, grandfather, grandmother, big chief, and the tribal women are also in attendance. And so it is. How are you all doing today? And we're going to have sort of a classroom setting because I jot some ideas on the board. And we're going to be talking about how certain teachings allow us to combine it all and what stage we are at right now. Right now is the stretching zone because in self-help circles, self-development, circles, allow us to see where we need to be, like not our comfort zone, not the panic zone, but in the stretching zone. So I jotted some things down on my black and white board. And is the feed cutting out? Could someone let me know? Because I'll just restart. Is the feed being interrupted? Yes or no? Can someone please leave a comment on the video? But if not, if we are live right now, if the feed is going well, I'm going to share out to all the groups. This is White Wolf. So what I wanted to do is that I wanted for you guys to understand what state of consciousness we are in right now. It is creating space and it's creating differently. And once we awaken to our true nature, of our true self, of the God self, of the higher self, of the ET version of ourselves, the more integrated version of ourselves, the more modest, more service to others self, we have to understand that we are becoming more devoted. We're having more humility. We're purifying the ego. We're not having the complacent, egotistical bubble that we've had as a human being for quite some time, but we are purifying the ego. Excuse me. So let me share out to all the groups, and I have a whiteboard, and I want to show you the ideas that I jot down and the state of consciousness that we are all in right at this moment because we're creating space, we're creating differently. We're wanting to manifest what we want. We want to help more people. We want to be on a healthier diet. We just want to be more healthier. So what thoughts are we having that is making us come out of alignment? And what can we do to zap us back into alignment? So, what I wanted to show you guys today is that this whiteboard here, if you can't see it, if you can, but the law of subtraction equals letting go. The law of attraction equals manifestation. And then what does that equal? Soul journey. And then what does that equal? It allows us to create the space of what we want to manifest on our soul journey, that we've weeded out the things that do not serve us, that we're letting go more and more and more and surrendering to the higher self more and more and more, becoming the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. So, what I want you guys to understand is that we're in this stage now. And if you look down at the bottom here, we are creating space. We are creating differently. We are not having misaligned thoughts. We are actually meditating every day. We are watching things that inspire us. We're reading books that inspire us. We are analyzing our behavior, our emotions. We are analyzing what is making us more and more at a lower vibration so that we can empower our unshaken alignment. So it is equaling us to be more devoted and to have more humility. And this is not a negative thing. We're just acquiring more humility and becoming more service of others oriented. And we're sacrificing our self image above all else, no matter how we care, how we look to our friends, how we look to our family, how we look to the person down the street. And we look at them and we can see that they are the oracle of love, light, and wisdom, but they may not see that in themselves. So, what devotion and humility does, it allows us to be humble and allows us to stay committed on the path of enlightenment. So, what we are doing now, as we're creating space and creating differently, we then are empowering our unshaken alignment. The alignment that is single pointed, the alignment that is not easily disturbed. We're becoming more and more ungraspable. We're becoming more and more unrecognizable as a soul. So when we become more and more unrecognizable, we're becoming more and more of the mysterious, indescribable God self. the Oracle of Love, Light, and Wisdom, as much of you know. So please donate and please share out to all the groups. This is White Wolf. So this is a lesson today that I need to learn, and that we have surpassed all of this on the top here. Okay. We've surpassed all of this. We have let go. We're surrendering more and more. We're surrendering our emotions. We're surrendering how we used to view ourselves, how we used to defend our own shitstorm, how we used to be as a human being. And now we're forgetting more and more of how we used to be a human being, but we're being God in human form. And we're seeing ourselves magnified, maybe even 20 million years of our own anointing. And imagine what that would look like. Imagine how God would perceive you in your most imperfected, most perfected way. It's the most sincere attempt at sincerity when we're becoming a light worker, because we want to help people. We want to help people stop being in the revolving door that is conventional reality, but we need a perfect balance of what conventional reality and what our own reality and stepping into our authority and our power looks like to us. Okay? So my journey may not look like your journey, and your journey may not look like my journey, but you have to see what you want. You have to have the desire to see what you want manifested. If you have done all the things that were the law of subtraction, letting go, law of attraction, manifestation, and soul journey, now you've done all of those things. Now is the time is to dream big. Now is the time to create space, to surround yourself with inspiration, to surround yourself with the things that keep you in alignment, the things that make you most excited, the things that make you most joyful, the things that make you most happy on your spiritual journey. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the people that do not want to be intense, committed spiritual seekers. We have to have the seeking impulse, but we can't make it the toxic seeking impulse, but we need to make it to where we are devoted, to where we are grounded, to where we are most in alignment and most in resonance. And don't take the word from me, take it from your own intuition, take it from yourself, take it from your own resonance. What speaks to you? What do you need to do to have the things that you want? Do you need a business license? Do you need to go live? Do you need to go sell everything, sell your house, or even? It doesn't matter what it looks like to the linear mind, but it only matters what it looks like to you. Your spiritual journey has to look how you want it to look like for you, for your most beneficial journey, because love is giving and love gives endlessly. And love wants each spiritual entity of love and light and generosity to have the most beneficial journey, because you've accumulated something I call spiritual mass. You're more alive. You want to go. You want to do things. You want to go places. You want to be expanded. You want to stay in the stretching zone. Well, guess what? You came to the right place. You came to the right page. And make an appointment with me in Morningstar and share out to all the groups. But we can say affirmations to ourselves all day and sit on our ass and think that we are going to change the world. Well, that's not going to happen. You have to weed out the things. You have to let go of all things that do not serve, and you have to surrender to your higher self and forget about being a human and get beyond the third dimensional way of being, the caveman version of the human being, and start migrating to the ET, the extraterrestrial version of the human being, the one who is intelligent, the one who has the infinite knowledge, the one who wants to know the knowledge of life itself, because spirituality and meditation is the gateway to knowing life itself, to knowing what reality really is, and that there are parallel realities, that there are alternate realities, that there are multiverses, and that there is a person making a decision before you make a decision. So you have to be aligned with all of those aspects of yourself, and you have to accept yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to embrace yourself. And you got to really just be committed, even when the situation is not in your favor. Just because you got into an argument with your significant other does not mean your vibration needs to be low. Just because you were at the store and there was very funky energy does not mean you have to give your power away to that. Just realize that they are out of alignment and that you need to stay into alignment, and you will do whatever you can to stay into alignment, to not be shaken, because your alignment has to be unshaken. It cannot be uh, fucked with. If if you know what I mean. I know that sounds funny, but we have to stay humble. We have to purify the ego, because what the third dimensional ego is that, oh, we have to do this, we have to pay bills, I have to fuck with my kids, I have to do this, I have to do that. When we really need to sacrifice our self-image, and we need to sacrifice our own way that we've been seeing life, and to get a lot of humility and become very, very modest. And I'm not saying be down on yourself, I'm not saying have a low perspective of yourself, but to be humble is to be devoted and is to have humility. But what are you devoting yourself to? What keeps you up at night that you have to be devoted to? What is your devotion? What is your passion? What is your strive? What is your energy being casted out to? What are you sending out into the world? Because it's more important to subtract the things that are not serving us, instead of trying to attract things that we don't want. So what are you sending out, and what are you weeding out, and what are you letting go of, and what do you want to manifest, and where is the space that you're creating from in order to create differently? So it's time for us to create differently, and it's time for the spiritual community to even create differently than we have been before. Because sometimes we can get stagnant, sometimes we can get stale, sometimes we can get to a point where we're not growing and progressing and reaching the levels of consciousness, but it will come in increments. But when those increments come, you have to sit through the downloads. You have to lay naked before God. You have to really be committed in order you want to do something supernatural. So if you really want to move something with your mind, be committed to that. Do it for 6 months. If you want a business license, go do it. See what the aligned actions are in order to make that manifest itself. Because we can do a lot of things. We have to do a lot of things before we manifest things and before we create differently, and to create the space in order to create something and manifest it into existence. And please give me a shout out if the video is messing up, because it has been raining. So what I wanted to do today is to empower you guys, and the only way to empower ourselves, we think it's spiritual bypassing. What spiritual bypassing is you not doing your inner work, or you're giving your power away to the shadow work itself and acting like it's a recurring thing, which I'm not dissing the shadow workers. And I had a person text the page the other night saying that I can clear this for you. If that is your path and your journey, good on you. But I believe we give our power to stagnation. I do believe we are our own worst enemy. So what we need to do is not become our own worst enemy, but we need to become friends with the one infinite creation of source, the one infinite power, the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. We need to really fall in love with that. And we need to think of things like the law of one, where Ra described that you can manifest things by thoughts. You have to really get out of your head and get into the game. And you need to stop talking to yourself, but sometimes take some moments and get quiet and stop thinking for a second, because once you think too much, you're going to talk yourself out of the manifestation that you desire. So what I want you guys to understand is that we talk ourselves out of things in this thing right here. We talk ourselves out of things. We talk ourselves out of letting go. We talk ourselves out of doing a new diet, exercising more, having more aligned thoughts, analyzing the thoughts and see, did I have thoughts that were helping humanity, that were helping me become a divine creator, a divine source of ever present, spacious awareness of God, that God is interacting with God, and that we are star seeds here, and we incarnated here, and our knowledge does not come here from here, but it comes from out there. So we need to stop looking for our knowledge, for our grace. It is already inside of us, it is already in our heart, it is already in our consciousness. But we are remembering more and more and more of the self-remembrance of who we are as a soul. And if you're coming into the feed, please rewatch the first part of this video. Please share out and feel free to donate and make an appointment with me in Morningstar. We're still doing individual classes. I don't know what she's doing, but I'm doing $50 individual classes. So as we did the law of subtraction, as we let go more, as we use the law of attraction with the first two steps, and then it leads to manifestation, then it leads us to embarking on our soul journey, which allows us to create space so that we can create differently, so that we can have devotion and develop humility, so that we can be humble and purify the ego even more, so that leads to us empowering our unshaken alignment. So this is us becoming more committed and creating differently. And these are the stages of seeing what we really want manifest in our lives. But this isn't just about manifestation, but this is just empowering your creation, empowering the creator, empowering yourself, empowering your life, and living by what you want to see in your life, what you desire, what is your preferred state of being. And to be prosperous along the way. So this is a multitude of things that came to me today, and me wanting to go live and wanting to touch your heart and your mind and your soul, and you becoming more of the soul and not identify with the mind and not identify with the body, but just identifying with the soul. Because we make assumptions every day. We assume things all the time. We assume that we're unworthy. That's an assumption. So we have to really look at what we're assuming and what is holding us back in order to get clients, in order to whatever it may be. It could be just, riding your bike around the neighborhood is something holding you back from that. So what are you assuming that is holding you back from your desired state of being? What is holding you back from your innermost being? Even if you're up late at night and you're reading a book, and then you and your significant other talk about something and it gets the energy and the dice rolling and it makes you kind of get zapped into alignment, it's getting you amped, and you should do something about that even when it's like really late at night. Maybe go live even. It doesn't matter. When the juices are flowing, when the aqua river flow of God's source energy is flowing through you, when you stop, then you're going to be gassed and you're just going to like, I'll do it another day. Well, we need to keep the juices flowing. We need to keep that aqua river flow of God's source energy flowing like the Nile River going, empowering ourselves, and using self realization in times of solidarity. Because in times of solidarity, when you're quieting down and you stop thinking for a second and you write in your journal, you play an instrument, even maybe just sitting quietly in a room, maybe laying on your bed and just listening to meditations, or not even listening to anything at all and just listening to the whispers of spirit, listening to the whispers of God's source energy and your guides and your higher self to the physical body, to not limit your physical mind, because you are not the physical mind. So therefore, what's holding us back from having what we really desire, what we really want out of our lives? Because we are our own greatest enemy. We are our own worst enemy. We are our own victimization story. So we need to rewrite the story and set the chapters that have not been in play yet. So we're changing the rules of the game to fit our best benefit. So let's rewrite the rules of the game that we call life, that we call reality, that we call our innermost being, and let's empower it and let's become it. Let's be an absolute continuity of consciousness. Let's be the wanderer, the spiritual seeker in the search of his or her own truth. Because that's what it really is. It doesn't matter if it's my truth. It doesn't matter if it's Morningstar's truth. It doesn't matter if it's Thomas Sawyer's truth. But what is your truth? What speaks to you? It doesn't matter if it speaks to me, but what speaks to you? You probably want to put on a knight, be a knight in shining armor. If that is in most resonance with your highest alignment, then go fucking do it. I know I'm being funny, but seriously, we have to stop caring what it looks like even to the spiritual community. Because there's a lot of, stuff in the spiritual community that I don't even align with. And then there's probably people in the spiritual community that don't align with me and probably think I'm unorthodox, or that is not their picture of enlightenment. That is not what enlightenment looks like to them. But you have to see what enlightenment looks like to you. It is not what it looks like for me. It is not what it looks like for, your parents, your friends, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to look exactly like what I'm doing. It doesn't have to look like a guy who's really intent right now and really dialed in, really lit right now. It may be somber. You might be playing a flute. That might be your journey. Working with animals, that might be your journey. That might be your soul's journey. But we have to find out what that looks like, and we have to create the space and then start creating differently. And then all that will come back into alignment. That will come back into the space, into our awareness. And then we will see things change within our lives that, maybe in 3 months you'll be able to levitate. Maybe in 3 months you'll be able to use telekinesis. Whatever it may be, whatever psychic abilities that are at your disposal and you're not doing anything about it, that's primarily on you. And most of the messages that I give are for me. But I am resonating with somebody right now. I am speaking to somebody right now. And it is touching their heart and it's touching their mind and it's showing them something maybe they need to do, maybe they're not looking at, maybe they don't know how to empower themselves and they're looking for insight. Well, some of the best insight that I've ever had was from my own significant other, MorningStar. Some of the best insight, some of the best times is just laying down in our bed and talking and conversing with each other. So if you have someone in your life, if you don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to ask and raise your hand for help, because that's what we've been doing our whole lives. We've been afraid to ask because we felt like we knew the answer. We felt like in our egotistical, complacent bubble of the 3D that we knew the answer and that we were always confused, that we were always entitled to it. But now we are learning to weed out and purify the ego. And what purifying the ego means is only seeing from your higher self and giving the truth, rather, no matter it lands or not. Planting seeds and not watching them germinate. And I like to look at some of your guys' comments right now. So I was just wondering if the video was cutting in and out. I'm so glad that it didn't, because I want this to be a very long, drawn out message, and I want you guys to rewatch the first half of this video, and I want you guys to share out to all the groups. And all you have to hear is this one thing: that the law of subtraction equals letting go. Law of attraction equals manifestation, equals soul journey, equals you being in the space where you are right now. And this does not mean that it has to resonate with you. It means that you're creating space and you're creating differently and you're becoming a manifestation powerhouse of source. And which leads to you having more devotion, that you're devoting yourself to service to others, that you're not of service to self, that you're not just worried about your own shit, that you're worrying about others, that you want to change the world, that allow devotion and humility equals being humble, purifying the ego, not getting a big head of yourself because you feel entitled to your spirituality. There's a big difference. So what that equals, humble equals staying committed, which equals empowering your unshaken alignment. So that you, no matter if you find yourself out of alignment, you recognizing that is you seeing as the way God sees, like, oh, I didn't handle that situation. Oh, I was mean at the store because I was having a bad day. But you recognizing that you were out of alignment and then you zap yourself back into alignment is just fantastic. It's awesome. So trust yourself. If you don't trust anyone else in your life, trust yourself above all else. Trust your own resonance. I'm not saying be having an ego with this, but trust your own alignment. Trust your own resonance. Excuse me. Because you, at the end of the day, know what's best for you. There's nobody on this live feed or even in this room right now that knows more than you do. But don't let that get to your head, get out of your head and get into the game of enlightenment and discovering the true knowledge, the self knowledge of life, the self knowledge of self mastery, becoming the true self. Because we are just the I am. We are not what we have perceived. We are not the 3D, but we are the 7D. We are wanting to be completed, and we're wanting to be whole. We're wanting to accelerate and not have stagnation and not have contractions, to um, being subjected to one point, to one level, to one source of energy, because we are ever expanding energy. We are the energy and the guidance to the new energy for the future. Okay? So, what I want you guys to take with this with you is that you don't have to get into these long explanations. You don't have to be on here for 25 minutes like I've been here. You can get it real clear and precise. If you have to, if you even have to, I don't even like to say dumb it down, but simplify it. Because Master Co is quite plain spoken, you know, but Ben Tino Massaro is more articulate and explanatory. So, quite like me. So that's my gifting, but that may not be your gifting. That may not be who you are. So if we have to simplify it and say that law of subtraction equals letting go equals this and equals that, then we get it. We don't have to spend like thousands and thousands of dollars on classes that are going to waste our time and a master that is not more powerful than we are. Because I promise you, if you sat at a table full of the most masterful people right now, that you would be the one who is actually the more powerful one. So don't give your power away to a master. Don't give your power away. Know that you're powerful. Don't disregard your power. And it's okay to be modest, but realize you have put in the work, that you have done it, that you have been the intense spiritual seeker in search of the truth of his or her own truth, of their own words of wisdom, which give heart healing activations to the collective, to the collective consciousness as a whole. Okay? So if you're coming into the feed, please share out to all the groups. And this is White Wolf. Feel free to donate. I'm still doing individual $50 classes that are just more in-depth appointments. So if you're interested, donate $50, whatever works for you. Share out to all the groups. And we're about to get into some healing. And I do recommend you guys rewatch the video because there was a lot of important information that you missed. So replay this video because it's very essential for the collective right now. Or at least it's very essential for me to even hear this message that I'm giving to myself. I know that sounds rather stupid, but our higher self is always moving through us, and our higher self knows better than us. So we have to become more of the higher self in order to become the higher self. Because if we disregard the higher self, we're still a complacent, egotistical human being, and we haven't perfected or empowered or purified the ego. Okay. So I'm going to refrain from talking. I think that it's been pretty dense information. I think you guys got this. I think you guys understand the whole kip and caboodle. So we're going to get into some healing. I'm going to do some supermutual energy, and I want you guys to empower your alignment and see what you want out of your life and create space and create differently. And realize that you're on the soul journey in order to do that, and God's not going to leave you. So, I want you all to take a deep breath. And I will do some light language. And this is White Wolf. Share out. Feel free to donate. Make an appointment with me and Morningstar. Go to our Instagram page, I_M_movement, all lowercase. Follow the I Am movement and see us on BitChute as well. Ishibamataya, Amihia Hoya, Anikino Gaya, Anikino Daya, Anestina Daya, Atikema Goya, Atetema Aya, Oshetema Aya, Atekema Goya. Siti Bama Yaya, Anikina Goya, Atetema Daya, Ashetema Daya, Amikina Gaya. Siti pamataya do. Quiet yourself down. Get to that subtle recognition. When you quiet yourself down, when you have that moment of solidarity, it will give you motivation to create something different, to create space, to stay in the ever expanding, stretching zone so that you can stay expanded. We're laying the foundations for the collective. We're instilling stuff into people. We're teaching them. We're guiding them. We're wanting to be of service to them. And we're wanting to be the master, the alchemist within, the spiritual teacher, the intense, committed spiritual seeker. We just want to know the truth of our consciousness. We want to know the truth of why we were from a different planet and why we are on this planet in order to give this knowledge to other people and why it's important and how important that we are as the chosen ones. Because the chosen ones were gifted this journey, this triumph, this striving for their leadership, to their authority, to being committed. And it's not an easy road. And you don't get a free pass, and the fire will burn you. So that's why we don't need to have an ego. We don't need to be too modest, but we need to purify the ego and have a perfect balance and inclusion of everything. But rest in this awareness, rest in this consciousness, rest in this lesson that was given to you today. And know that we are in the beginning stages of creating space, of creating something totally different, and seeing a blessed change come into our lives. So this is the time to dream big. This is the time to embrace it. This is the time of intense downloads. This is a time of integrating those downloads and becoming more of who you were supposed to be. I appreciate the time that we spent here together today in this collaboration of the healing of planet Earth, and realize that I am just the example, that I am just showing you how to be healed, that I'm not taking the credit of this healing because I have a whole congregation of angels and guides and dragons helping me with this. But just know that you are infinitely loved, that you are infinitely guided, and that no matter what decision you make in your life, it will work out for the goodness of all. But when I snap my fingers, you will come back to, you'll have a greater sense of clarity. You will become an intense seeker, committed seeker, devoted seeker of service to others, and you will become the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. You will become the space. You will become the creation. And you will become a divine creator. So take one more deep breath. Exhale. Take another one before I snap my fingers, and you slowly come back to your body and you embody the higher self fully and purify the ego. Sometimes less is more. I used to do 30-minute healings, 40-minute healings, and I would be so drained. And sometimes you can get the job done in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes. So, this is White Wolf. I hope that you enjoyed the message, the transmission, the lesson, and the healing all together. And know that I'm doing individual appointments that are $50. And I want you guys to understand that I enjoyed the time that we spent here together. It was fun, it was a great message, and I felt like we all collaborated well with one another. And like the page, go to bitchute and see our videos, the I Am Movement, same name as Facebook, and go to our Instagram page, I_M_movement, all lowercase, and please share out to all the groups and feel free to donate as well. This is White Wolf. We almost have 500 people who like this page, so let's make it 1,000. Let's make it 2,000. So I appreciate you all, and you all have a blessed day.